when we go into balding, thinning, and all of the things, the first thing that you typed in today was, what do I put on my hair, or what do you put on your scalp for hair loss? What's the best product for hair loss, and all of that stuff. Don't get mad, because you probably like, damn, she not even telling me what exactly I'm supposed to put on my hair. Like, what are we talking about? I don't get it. Well, hush, be quiet and listen. It's not about what your body, what you putting on the scalp, is what you releasing from the body. But let me break it down for you in a second. If you've been on my channel for a while, you'll remember this video, right, where I went live with AQBS and we talked about a whole bunch of stuff with scalp inflammation and stuff. Girl, go look at it. Boy, go watch the video. There was a three words that he used, and his was in a different formation than mine. I always say there's the trigger, the inflammation, and then the disorder. But when I was live with AQBS, he said something. He said a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm talking about one specific thing right now that jumped out to me. And he said, not in opposition to my three, but he said, hold on, I'm looking down, irritation, infection, and inflammation. So I was like, hold the hell up, because even though you would want to say trigger and irritation is the same thing, I don't think that they are. So instead of me changing my three, I'm basically combining AQBS's theory and my theory together. So let's break it down. Normally when I bring new systems to y'all, they've already been put together and it's stuck in my head, so I don't really have to look down. But today I'm looking down. So the first one is, so now instead of my old one, which was trigger, inflammation, disorder, now I've changed it up a little bit. Now it's trigger, irritation, infection, inflammation, and then disorder. Let me explain. So initially, right, whenever you wake up in the morning and you see a new bald spot, you're like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? Like, what did I do? What product did I use? Like, what's going on? And what's the first thing that I could put on my hair to bring it back? Well, it's okay. But that's the very last step. Let's start at the very beginning. Get your notebooks out. And if you haven't done so already, get you one of these. If you have this journal, this new process that I am about to give you is going to be a breeze. So let's get into it. What was the trigger? What was the thing that you did? What was the external action that took place that caused this problem to start? What was the key in the ignition? So an example of a trigger, right, for let's say you have a perfectly healthy scalp, nothing's wrong, and then one day you go to a braider that packs your scalp full of edge control, full of braid gel, and all of the other things. Y'all know what else happens. That's the trigger. And not only was your follicle full up with that butter, you also had extremely tight braids that were so tight that you had to take a Tylenol or aspirin just to take some of the pain away, and until it subsided. And then once the pain went away, it was super cute. Both of those things are triggers. So that's step one. Next up is going to be irritation. This next phase is the one that most of you notice. Most never notice the trigger, right? You don't notice the trigger. You're like, oh, I get braids. This is what I always do. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't notice or think about the fact that the edge control or the foam or whatever they put on your scalp, you don't think about the fact that that could have been the initial cause. That was the thing that led to the irritation, which is number two, right? So when we see the irritation is like, okay, my scalp feels really itchy, and because your scalp's really itchy or because it feels tight, that's the irritation stage, right? We're not at inflammation yet, because you've had the trigger, which was the braiding and the process for the braiding, the tightness, all of the things, and then the irritation. because of this trigger, right? Because the key's been in the ignition, the follicle's been blocked. Now the irritation is starting, right? Now you're starting to feel itching. Now it's starting to feel tight and all of the things. Just like you taking the Tylenol wasn't the trigger, but the braids that are super tight, maybe too much hair, too much weight, right? And the inflammation from the stuff that you're putting on your scalp, that was the trigger. Now your scalp's irritated because the follicles are full. You can't get any oxygen flow, so the follicle's suffocating, is itching, is struggling. The skin cell turnover cycle is starting up again way faster than it's supposed to because your body is sensing something's wrong. There's an irritant. There's an irritation. If there's an irritation, why? It's because there's some type of irritant. What is the irritant? The irritant is the thing that triggered the irritation, which is what? The tension, the braiding hair, the edge control, all of the things on the scalp. Are you with me, GP? Are you with me? Now our scalp's irritated, and then to get rid of the irritation, that's when you run to myo-organics, or that's when you run to different oils and greases and all of the things, because you're under the impression that the one thing that can get out, the one thing that is going to stop the irritation is oil. So you put more oil on, not understanding that the oil is going to feed the microbes that live on the scalp, which is going to further irritate the scalp. And after it's irritated so much, now you have inflammation. Hello, listen. Oh, I'm a nerd. Listen, I'm just, right now, if you don't like this video, you just don't like the video. But right now, you are in the mind of Sendao. So once we've reached where now, our scalp is extremely irritated, right? And because our scalp is irritated, what do? We run to something that we think is going to make the irritant go away, that's going to stop the irritation. So we go to oils, butters, and greases. In other videos, I've broken down my scientific, my other stuff to y'all, telling y'all that the human scalp is home to thousands, to hundreds, over 5, 6, 7, 8, 900 different forms of yeast and bacteria live on your scalp, right? One of their favorite foods is oil. So if you try to stop the irritant by adding oil, you're feeding the microbes. And what is that going to do? It's going to cause those microbes to overgrow. It's going to cause them to colonize, to start having babies. Demodex mites are real. Watch this video that I've left in the description box below, where I break down what Demodex mites are. Not only are Demodex mites there to eat the sebum that is on your scalp, they also eat the oils, the butters, and greases that you put on the scalp. And when they do this, and when you allow the microbes and the yeast and all of the things that live on the scalp to colonize, guess what happens? You go from trigger to irritation to infection. Now the oil and all of the products that you put on your scalp have caused all of the microflora that lives on the scalp to colonize, right? And as they colonize, now your scalp is infected with an overgrowth of yeast, bacteria, and so many things. That's why your scalp is sensitive to touch. That's why it's redness, and that's why it hurts. Most black women think that they're tender-headed, but in reality, it's a combination of scalp inflammation and nerve damage because of the triggers that end up leading to irritation that ends up leading to infection. So now you have an infection of the hair follicle. Now the yeast, the bacteria, the microflora that is on the scalp is uncontrolled. And moreover, I remember when people first started having a problem with me here on YouTube is when I made a video about rice water. Hello my loves, Sundown here coming at you with another video, and I'm going to warn you, if you get sick really quick or if you have a weak stomach, sign off now. That's right, you heard it again. Do not use rice water because you have the potential to possibly kill your hair one strand at a time. I know you guys are probably like, Stan, are you talking about this rice water thing again? The conversation has never stopped. I've received these messages just today alone. It's a conversation that is ongoing, that never ends, and my students have been on my head like saying, you have to address this, because we've already dived really deep into this, but they were like saying if they could just see what we see, then maybe they would stop commenting like that. So honestly, I didn't want to do it, but here we go. So let's get directly into this. You guys have seen a billion videos on rice water and how to make it. So yeah, I'm not going to teach you how to make rice water in this video because that is not what this is about. I made this rice water on the 11th and I am filming this video the very next day, which is the 12th. Okay, so this is only 24 hours of fermentation. All right, okay, yes. So now I have already made the slides, you guys, and here is a low porosity hair. This is low porosity hair, clean, without anything on it. The little squiggly piece you see at the top, that one little squiggly piece, is actually a part of the lens. It's not anything that's in the slide. Okay, so there's a little bit of water there on the hair shaft and things of that nature, but as you can see, this is a low porosity hair and the cuticle is completely smooth and shut. Here we go with high porosity hair. As you can see from this angle, the cuticle is open. Now it looks like the cuticle is a little cut, but it's not. It's just the way that I am picking up this frame. But as you can see with high porosity hair, there are quite a few spots that are open and lifted. Yes, this is one really good pick of a piece of the open cuticle, and this is just a normal high porosity hair. Okay, this is how high porosity hair looks. So remember, low porosity is closed and high porosity is open. Now this is a really up close shot of the hair. Yes, so I want you to see what is happening slowly. So this is, once again, high porosity hair. Now look at this high porosity hair and look at how it's lifted. Look at all of the grooves. I really want you to pay attention to how both of these strands of hair look before rice water is introduced. The little clip that you saw before was just a little frame of rice water as it is being put into the slide. Now here we go. We have introduced rice water to the high porosity hair, and you're watching this in real time, you guys. Now of course I had to speed everything up because on the camera things happen slowly, like actually inside, but you are watching what is happening under a microscope the second that rice water is put on high porosity hair. Now as you can see, this high porosity cuticle is open, so this rice water is going directly inside of the hair shaft. Okay, you can see that with your own two eyes. It's going directly in with no problem. The little bubbles that you see, that is water. I want you guys to know exactly what you're looking at. The bubbles are water, and everywhere black is rice water. Okay, I want you guys to remember, I know you guys misunderstood what I was saying about lactic acid. We'll get to that at the end, but yeah, now we're gonna switch over. This is high porosity, low porosity hair and rice water. Don't you see the difference? Now the low porosity hair has a cuticle that is completely shut, so it's not having it. Low porosity hair is not having it, is not letting this rice water in at all. Now that goes for all products when you're dealing with low porosity hair. This is why I am completely against rice water. Now, the bacteria that you're growing with the rice water is violent, honey. It is violent. Now, if you have high porosity hair, you don't have any of that violence at all because the cuticle is open. But with low porosity hair, it's closed. So you can see it's getting darker and darker before your very eyes, you guys. I am not editing anything. Only thing that I did was speed it up just so it wouldn't be like 3, 4, 5 hours long. Okay, over on my Patreon there will be more of the real-time clips, but this is what's growing, you guys. The lactic acid bacteria is now getting a new game plan. I'm sorry, not lactic acid bacteria. The rice water is getting new direction now. Now it's like the bacteria is like, we have to group up and we have to get stronger. We have to grow. I'm gonna give you guys a really up close and personal glimpse of the bacteria, that how deep and dark and how violently this is growing and moving. Look at this. I can't make any of it up, you guys, at all, but it's coming. Oh honey, it's coming, it's trying, but that low porosity hair is not having it. So now we are going to switch off and go back over to our high porosity hair. Okay, so this is what a form of the bacteria. Now peep this, you see it right before your eyes, this bacteria grouping up with everything else that is around it, and you can see it's getting darker and darker and darker and darker and darker as the bacteria grows. So everybody wants to argue with me in the comments like, oh, there's nothing wrong with rice water. Listen, if this makes you feel comfortable, by golly, you use it, honey. Okay, so let's move back to high porosity hair. Now high porosity, this is going to be everyone who loves rice water, everyone who swears by rice water. Remember how that high porosity hair looked at the beginning? Look at it now. Okay, because all of that rice water went inside. Look at the high porosity hair. It looks good right from the surface. From this angle, we're gonna go deeper with the microscope, but this is more rice water that I ended up putting inside of it, because as you guys just saw, it sucked up everything. You know, be enough, but you know that wasn't enough, which is okay, but now I can show you. Now let's get into it. Do you see this little string of thing right there and that big little ball that's like being pulled with that little string? Well, that little string, you probably think, oh, that's a piece of hair. No, baby, that is the thing that is keeping the ball rolling and gathering everything together, and we're gonna get a really up close look at that in a second. But this little thingamajigger right here, that is the worker bee, that is the queen, that is the queen or king, whatever you want to call it, and that is the one getting everybody in order and grouping everything together. And that's not the only one. There are multiple stream things of that. Okay, so now I'm gonna look for it, and as we're looking for it, I'm also going to be going in and zooming in closer and closer and closer and closer, and you're going to notice that the things are going to visually begin to change. And it's not because I'm on a different slide, it's because we're going closer. So that big circle you saw, that's just one of those water spots up close, and here it is. Here it is. So you see, things look a little different now. That's because we went really close. That's that little thing we were just looking at. Look at it, you guys. And you see the one moving at the bottom in the lower right hand corner? That is slowly gonna attach itself to it, and it's just gonna keep reproducing itself. This is simply out of the rice water. 24 hours, you guys, 24 hours. So just imagine how big it will be when I keep, you know, showing you guys and updating under a microscope. But this is what's living inside of your rice water. This is what's going inside of your hair when you use your precious rice water, you guys. So if you still want to continue to use it, then you go ahead. But the passion behind my voice is because I have already seen this under a microscope with rice water like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And in that video about rice water, I let you guys know that you were slowly killing the hair follicle by using rice water, and a lot of people didn't want to hear that, and it's okay. But the truth of the matter is this: now you can go to your dermatologist and verify this with your dermatologist. today in 2025, black women have grown new strains of these forms of bacteria that the dermatologists and the pharmacists do not have medications to kill the forms of yeast and bacteria, the types of viral and bacterial infections that black women have in the scalp. Why? When we sit down and we do the process of elimination and we look down the line at the data, what scientists like me find is all of the different trends, all of the different hacks cause you to grow new strains of yeast and bacteria and add them to the scalp. Rice water, for an example. I'll try, hopefully by the time I add this video, I'll have enough energy to add a link. But in this clip here, I show you exactly what is in rice water. I actually ended up doing the experiment for myself. I grew rice water in the little, oh, so damn nasty. Y'all are nasty. I grew rice water in a little thing, in a mason jar. And then I took the samples and then I gave you a display of what rice water looks like under under my microscope. I'll add the clip here. So as you just seen, right, most black women would sleep in rice water. Most black women would put this on their hair and have a wig on and be walking around with it for days. Most are not going to admit it now, but it really doesn't matter. These little moving little organisms that you had within your scalp, think about this. Not only did you have rice water in your hair, but you also added oils and things of that nature to the scalp. Then you didn't shampoo the hair. The only type of shampoo you used was either a co-washing conditioner or a sulfate-free shampoo, which does not have the ability to kill the forms of yeast and bacteria that live on the scalp, even naturally. So they for sure didn't have enough power to kill the forms of yeast and bacteria that you were growing in your home and introducing to the scalp. So these forms of yeast and bacteria never left. They all just compacted on top of each other, right? That's an example that I want you to use. But rice water isn't the only natural thing that you guys have been growing in your home, right? Even when I was live with AQBS on the channel, he said that he makes his own products. That's different. Why is it different? It's because he's not in his kitchen with pots and pans with water in the apron. No, there are extraction machines and things of that nature. So it's different. It's not the same thing. And these are the things that I want y'all to understand. When you introduce certain forms of bacteria, then you have an infection. It's different. So this infection is going to do what? This infection is going to disrupt all of your scalp's natural systems, and here comes the inflammation, right? So here comes the inflammation, here comes the redness, the burning, the soreness, the pilling, all of the different things. And then guess what? You double up. You double up on the oils, you double up on the homemade products, you double up on your apple cider vinegar, you double up on all of these things, right? Doubling up on the infection, triggering even more, leading to even more irritation. So the inflammation is through the roof, and before you know it, there's your disorder. Girl, you better stop playing with me. Your seborrheic dermatitis, your dandruff, your folliculitis, all of the things, they have a track record. So if you was to pull out a notebook and you track what the things that you could have possibly done to trigger the things and break down all of these different scenarios, you get to the cause immediately. It's like, oh, seborrheic dermatitis makes sense. And then from there, you can backtrack and go back and say, okay, what is the thing that I did to trigger it? I did braids. I always do braids. That could be why I'm always inflamed. That could be the reason that I'm not retaining length. That could be the reason that I can't get my hair past this length. So then we're going to reframe things. So that way we don't run into that trigger again. And let's say it still keeps happening. It's okay. Let's find a new trigger. What are you doing? Is it the way you're tying your hair up at night? Is it your diet? What is it? Find the trigger that leads to the irritation, which will lead to the infection that causes the inflammation, which will leave you with a hair shaft or a follicle disorder. It's simple. The things that I want you to look out for. So yes, my channel is going to be full of a whole bunch of don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, because they're the things that you are doing are the triggers. At the end of the day, Black women's key to hair growth has nothing to do with what hair product to use. It has nothing to do with what the best shampoo or conditioner is, the best leave-in conditioner. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the things that you're constantly doing. All of these hacks, all of this stuff that y'all are making up are all triggers that lead to irritation. Period. And then once that starts, this whole cycle just continues, and there's nothing anybody can do about it, because it's not until you change the patterns that you think are the thing that you have to do, nothing's gonna change. And I'm telling you what I know. As we've been talking, there are multiple people whose views have popped up on the screen, and you can take it or leave it. Most people will kind of argue with certain things, and that's okay, because a whole lot of the women that are getting results from me now in 2025 thought that I was a liar and making everything up in 2017. So it's up to you. What do you want to do? Do you want to keep going around the same mountain over and over again, or are you going to stop the triggers that lead to your irritation, then infect the hair follicle, causing inflammation, which leaves you with the hair shaft or follicle disorder? It is completely up to you, right? So let me know what you think about it. I don't know, I just feel like I always felt like it was missing something. Like I always tell y'all, trigger inflammation disorder, but I'm like, I need something else. Like I'm missing something else. And you, sir, thank you, sir.